Hey coin collectors, and welcome to DC Coin World International Coin Channel. Today we're going to take a look at some Mercury Dimes from 1940 to 1945, and we are going to make a correction because I always call these Mercury Dimes, and I always say that it is the Roman god Mercury who was wearing the Phrygian cap. And one of our viewers said, no, it's not the Roman god Mercury, it's Lady Liberty. And so I said, oh, I'm going to look that up because everybody calls him the Mercury Dime, but that's just the name that they kind of got. So let's move these around and let's take a look at the 1940. And we see that it is, says Liberty around the top. It says, In God We Trust down here under the chin of Lady Liberty. And it says 1940 here. And over here we have an AAW kind of entwined. And that's for Adolf A. Weinman, the engraver of these coins. And it turns out that what Adolf Weinman did was something that's been done with U.S. coins for years, and that's to take another image and put Lady Liberty in it. Actually, here's one right here. It's an 1872 half dime. And you see what they've done here is they've taken the Britannia from Britain, where Britannia sits with a shield and looks out over the ocean. They've taken the ocean out, but they do have a flag, and then they do have, it says Liberty down here. It's hard to read. So this is, in 1872, they took Britannia and put Lady Liberty in for her. Here's one from 1851. And they took kind of this Roman or Italian coin figure and put the Liberty cap and put Lady Liberty in the figure, wearing the Liberty kind of band here. And this is one, again, it's Lady Liberty every time in these, but it's using a classical image. Then, of course, this one here, where they actually have Lady Liberty wearing a Indian headdress or a Native American headdress. So that's Lady Liberty. It says Liberty up here, and you can read it really well. So this is probably a relatively expensive coin because it's so detailed. But that's not a Native American there at all. That's, in fact, Lady Liberty in costume almost on these coins. Well, when Adolf Weinman came in, he said, okay, I'm going to use the same kind of idea. I'm going to put Lady Liberty in a Phrygian cap. It had wings on it, but it also stood for the freedom of thought. And so when people first saw these, when they came out in 1916, they said, oh, that's the Mercury Dime. It's not Mercury, it's Lady Liberty wearing a Phrygian cap. So I stand corrected. This is a 1940, and this is where the mint marks are, right down here. It says United States of America around the top. It says one dime here with stars on each side, and E pluribus unum right there. We have an olive branch, olive tree winding around the fasces, or the war implement. This is the 1940. In 1940, they made them at three different mints. They made 65 million at Philly, which this one is. They made 21 million at Denver, which would have a D on the back. And they made 21 million at San Francisco. Next up, let's see if we can find a 1941. Here's the 1941. In 1941 in Philly, they made 175 million. So if you have Mercury Dimes, you probably have some of the same ones I have, because I have the ones that they made the most of that aren't worth as much. They're worth probably $3 minimum, simply because they have a couple bucks worth of silver in them. But for 1941, I also have the Denver Mint Dime. And in Denver in 1941, they made 45 million. And then I have the San Francisco Mint Dime, and they made this with a large S and a small s on this, and the prices are pretty similar. So in San Francisco, they made 43 million of them. Next up, let's see if we can find that 1942. And it's not that easy to do because these dates are so tiny. Now we have the 1942 dime. In 1942, they have a couple of varieties. They have the 42 stamped on top of a 41, the 2 over the 1, that's worth a few $100s. And then they have this one here, which is the 42D, which is just a regular coin, which they made almost 61 million of them. And then the 42 over the 41 occurred both in Philadelphia and in San Francisco. In Philadelphia in 1942, they made 205 million. So a lot of people have the 1942 dime. Let me see if we have the 43 here somewhere. Come on, 43. There's a 1943. Oh, I should also say in 1942, they made them at the San Francisco Mint, and they made about 49 million. In 1943, they made 191, almost 192 million at Philly. So those aren't going to be rare at all unless you have them in really good shape. They made 71, almost 72 million at Denver, and they made 60 million at San Francisco. Again, none of them are going to be worth much over $3 until you get up to a really high grade MS65 almost, before most of them will be worth anything. Next we have 45 just wants to jump in there. Next you have the 1944. In 1944 they made again the Philly made 231 million, Denver they made 62 million, and San Francisco they made 49.5 million. And this is the Denver one. So at Denver they made 60 million, again worth about $3. Then finally the 1945 gets to jump in. 1945, 159 million in Philly, 40 million in Denver, and 42 million in San Francisco. And if you can find a San Francisco one, look at the S's, because if you can find the small s or the micro s, it's worth a little bit more, maybe sometimes almost double. All right, well, that's all we have today from DC Coinroll International Coin Channel. I'd love to have you subscribe to our channel. Leave any comments you have in the comments section.